Okay, we're going to talk about the main screen and the config screen on the LCD. So the LCD controller is a screen with a microprocessor and a circuit board inside that does all the overview and management of the system. So there's no real interaction with home automation or buttons with an individual unit. All the interaction is done via home automation and the screen. The screen communicates with all three boxes, okay? So you have the main screen and it tells us the state of all three master controllers, P1, P2, and P3. I won't bother you with R1, which basically means reply one. What was the reply of, we pinged number one and we got a reply of state 12. And the state is the door is closed to fully closed position. Closed position 2, okay? So you have closed position 1, which is in the middle. You have closed position 2, which is fully closed, okay? And then you have open. Now on the screen we have test buttons here. We can test the door from the LCD. We could close all, open to position number 1, or open door number 1 to its open position, meaning all of the doors will go fully closed. Door number 1 will go open. We can open door number 1 and 2, which will make all doors go, make doors 3 and 4 be in their fully closed position, and doors number 1 and 2 will be open, okay? In this screen, we can see if we're in valid states, or if we have errors, or if we have invalid states. That's pretty much it for this screen. If the doors were moving, let's do an example. Let's press open. You can see that the states would show us that the doors are moving, and you can see the positions changing as it's moving. And then once it gets to a final destination, it will tell you, hey, we're fully open, we're at 0 position. Okay. Now let's go to the screen, the configure screen. Auto close on off. What that does is for door number 1 only, which is the door that will have your buttons on it. Okay. If auto close is off, then when you open door number 1, it will stay open indefinitely until you press a button to close it. If auto close is on, then when you open up door number 1, it will automatically close after a number of seconds, and those seconds are determined in the master controller under a menu called auto close delay. Okay, so auto close is on. We will simulate, let's see, what state are we in? Or we're all open. Let's close all the doors. All the doors are closing. Sorry about the focus. So they're all closed. Okay, now we're going to open door number 1. So I could press either here, open 1, or my open 1 from home automation. And so here's our motor. I'm going to press open 1. You can see door number 1 is opening. After a few seconds, it closes automatically. And that delay can be whatever you want, okay? So let's simulate opening doors 1 and 2, okay? Now you can see doors 1 and 2 are opening. And because we opened up doors number 1 and 2, it turns off auto close automatically because it assumes you want doors number 1 and 2 to be open, and we don't want the auto close to be fighting. Auto close only works if every door is closed and we just opened door number 1, okay? Let's test open all. Doors number 1, 2, and 3 are opening, and they're all fully open. Okay. Back to our config screen. If the doors are all fully open, as they are, to avoid having the door guides and the rollers bang inside of the slots on the bottom of the door, I put a delay on door number 3 and 4 so that they could start a little bit later and try to avoid collisions with the roller guides in the bottom of the doors. So I've got a delay here. The minimum is 0.25 seconds, 0.5, 0.75, 1 second. I've found that just in my testing, I think 1.25 is enough. it goes up to 2 seconds. Anytime you change it, it's stored permanently. You don't have to do anything. If the power goes out, it will come back where you left it, okay? So now I'm gonna demonstrate for you what happens with the delay. If I can get focused. Okay, I'm gonna press close all, and you're looking at, that's 1, that's 2, and that's 3, but just so I can illustrate the purpose here, I'm gonna press close all. I'm on the wrong screen. Go back to the main screen. Close all. You can see doors number 1 and 2 started, and door number 3 started later. I'll do it again. We're going to go open all. Door number 1 and 2 goes. 1.25 seconds later, door number 3 starts. That's an attempt to try to avoid the collisions. I'm closing all. Closing. You can see the delay on door number 3. Okay. Back to the screen. Store positions 1, 2, 3 closed, store 1, 2 middle. Those aren't programmed yet. I don't know if I will program them. We can program the positions from the master controller, and usually this is a one-time thing. Usually once we set it, we'll never do it again, so it may not be necessary to have it on the screen. Inputs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are our physical contact closure inputs. So if I press close all, this is button 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? So let's watch what happens to input 1. This is a way to test your connections with home automation. Button 3, button 4, button 5. Oh, I see. I disconnected it from the black panel, and now it's on the individual panels getting ready for the doors. So you can see that when I press the door buttons, the receiver flashes blue, and you can see 6 flashing 1. So the inputs are 1 is close all, 2 is open all, 3 is open door number 1, 4 is open door number 1 and 2, 5 is stop, which may or may not get used, 6 is the wireless receiver input, okay? We've talked about the delay. Motor on, motor off. If for any reason we want to disable the motors, we can turn motor off, and you can see that a fault light turns on each master controller on the motor driver board in red, okay? That tells us that the motor has been disabled, which means we can now move the motor freely by hand. Whereas if the motor is on, let's see what I'm doing wrong here. Oh, I moved the doors out of position, and I put the doors into an invalid state. So that way the LCD keeps track of the positions, and it knows if something went wrong, and it doesn't like the fact that I was moving the doors around, and I put it in an invalid state, and now it's saying, hey, you've got to rehome, okay? That's a precautionary software thing I added, so that if the doors by any method got into the wrong position, we get warnings. That avoids collisions, and it avoids the doors banging into each other and so forth, okay?